Hey, you whimsical bards and bardettes. Welcome back to I Cast Vicious Mockery. I'm Austin.
I'm Matt.
And introducing our special guest star, meet Forrest.
Hello.
Today, Forrest is going to be breaking down for us which Pokemon... Alright, so I was talking about this with my wife earlier.
Okay.
Alright, that's why I sent you that message earlier.
Okay.
Don't read it yet. You can read it later if you really want to, but we don't need to... Alright. I said that we should live in Pokemon. We should just move there.
Okay.
Like, just,
And
just up and move into Pokemon.
And well, I thought when you sent me that message that you meant which Pokemon would you rather live in, as in they eat you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Right.
I thought we were going to be inside of the
Right. Well,
Pokemon.
that's what my wife said. She said, yeah, which one? There are over 800. Yes. And that's, well, I looked it up.
You looked up the
I looked
answer.
up which one. Yeah.
Okay.
Duh. All right, you can find the biggest Pokemon. You can find the buffest Pokemon. You can find the hairiest Pokemon. You can find the most attractive Pokemon, if you're into that. But do you know which list they have not made? Best Pokemon to live in. And that's why Forrest is here today. He has it. It's all up in there, locked away in his beautiful cranium. And he's going to break down for us the tier list, a triple S to Z tier. Which Pokemon is the best to live in, or which ones are the best to live in if some of them are tied?
Okay. Right. So I guess first clarifying, when you say live in,
yeah,
you're talking about keeping your physical entity as a human and being inside of a Pokemon.
Not strictly, because like
becoming the Pokemon.
No, more like the first one. More like the first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's
Just wanted to
definitely
be
more like
clear.
the first one. Like technically, I think there are some ghost Pokemon where they could like capture your spirit or whatever, and they could have like a bunch of people in there. So maybe it would be like an awesome rager all the time, or like a whole like sorrowful pit of souls kind of. I don't know which way it goes.
Maybe avoid that. Well, two come to mind initially, and you're gonna have to help me with names.
I can help you out. I got you.
I'm ashamed to admit that
I know every Pokemon's name. I don't actually.
What's the one that has clouds for wings?
Oh, Altaria. Or Altaria. I don't know.
I feel like living in a cloud would be pretty
That'd be pretty sweet.
Right?
Okay.
So that was like the first one that popped in my mind. It just sounded very comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would bother it living in its clouds or not.
No. It's such a like
cool with it. It would like
it's like a mother. Yeah, it's like it's like a very affectionate type of warm, cuddly.
Isn't in the description of that Pokemon, doesn't it say that it like hums with its wings or something?
What?
Goes like,
I remember this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that would be even better.
Soothing hum, yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god.
So that was the first thing, and the other thing,
okay,
because I always have turtles on the brain, is it Tirtouga? What's the one that's like the final evolved form of the turtle? It's huge.
Yeah, I think it's
pretty much like
Tirtouga. Yeah,
it's pretty much like friggin' grass Blastoise on 4 legs.
Yeah. Or Torterra.
I was gonna say Tirtouga is the island where
there is a Pokemon named
the Black Pearl.
There's a Pokemon
goes to
Tirtouga.
Tirtouga. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Tirtouga.
Anyway,
Tortuga does mean turtle in Spanish.
I don't know if you could figure out some kind of space inside that shell, and it would just kind of be like a mobile home almost, or something.
Yeah. Yep. I'm getting where I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Those were my initial thoughts.
You see, that's why we brought you on, because my only thought was Whale Lord, just because it's the biggest one.
It's big enough to fit you.
And I could be there, and I wouldn't have to be not alive anymore. I could still be alive, technically.
Yeah,
I think.
My initial thought was No, I meant the games. Like, I just want to live in the places from the games.
Oh, well.
But then my secondary thought was, but and then this whole problem
Well,
started.
Alola
So,
is like a tropical, like basically Hawaii, right? That sounds great.
mhm.
And what's the one palm tree Pokemon? Because his neck's real big in that one. That's funny.
Oh yeah, Executor, yeah.
Yeah. Super, super long neck. Funny stuff. I like it.
Long necks are pretty hilarious.
It's comedy gold.
I say
Giraffes?
as I shrink my
Hilarious.
head into my shoulders. Giraffes are they hilarious?
Are snakes funny, or would you consider most of that to be their body?
Their ribcage is pretty high up.
Okay, got it. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey, let's talk about that. Pokemon regions as a D&D campaign setting.
I never would have thought this was coming up today, but okay.
Do you know that's a system that exists?
The Pokemon D&D system?
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
They like adapted 5e to Pokemon.
Oh, like Wizards of the Coast did, or this is something that
I think it's something that
I think it's
like it's a Reddit. It's a Reddit.
Reddit has everything.
It's like a subreddit, and I think everything's been like people play campaigns, and it's completely like they adapted the system to. And I know very little about this, but I read about it a little bit one day. Just happened across it. The system works just like you were in Pokemon, right? You battle and capture Pokemon. All of the battles are like you're using and ordering your Pokemon when you're taking your action during battle, and beyond that, right? It's very easy to adapt to D&D, because what isn't very easy to adapt to D&D, you can do whatever you want. But yeah,
true.
it was super cool. The little bit that I read about it, it seemed very interesting. So it exists. Somebody else thought the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you know what? Because we've seen with previous episodes, all kinds of stuff exists. I mean, there's a Naruto 5th edition rule set, a Hollow Knight 5th edition rule set. I mean, yeah, you could probably find anything. That's cool. It's cool in a way that, like, if you thought about it, if you were like, oh yeah, that would be really cool to do that, but I don't have the time. Guess what? Somebody else probably did it. And you can just look it up and read it.
And if they didn't, then guess what the gods just tasked you with, my friend?
Yeah.
You better make time.
Now you have to do it. Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure that is the way that ideas work. Like, if it's not made yet and
like,
you think of it, you're obligated to make it.
Yeah, like it came to you.
Yeah. Yeah, like at your earliest convenience, it must be done immediately. Please.
Immediately at your earliest convenience.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. What are the words to Come As You Are by Nirvana?
You just said all of the words to that song that I know.
As you are. Take your time. Hurry up. Choice is yours. Don't be late. Yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to think of which region would be best.
Okay.
And so far, I'm liking Sinnoh. 4th, like Diamond Pearl, Platinum one.
Cool.
Because there's a big, huge mountain in the middle.
Yamano Yoni Mieru, dude.
There's a big, huge mountain in the middle of it, though. And that is good, I think, for D&D, for like orienting like where you are.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a weenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a video game term if you're not familiar, where they have objects and structures that are tall that help orient you in the world so that you always know where you are. It gives you a sense of progress. They use it a lot in games that I know that you will be familiar with. Forrest, like The Last of Us uses it. Like when the first one, when you're in Pittsburgh, it's like, we got to get to that bridge. You can always see the bridge no matter where you are, and you can like see yourself getting closer to it. They also use it in the I always forget. What are the Nathan Drake games?
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Yes, they use it a lot in the Uncharted games as well. But yeah, weenies. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about weenies, my friend.
Yeah.
That was actually, I don't really have anything. So I haven't played the newest Pokemon games. I haven't played Sword and Shield.
Have you?
I have. Yeah, I did play that when it came out.
Oh, that's right.
I gotta be honest, I barely remember anything from it. It was very forgettable.
I remember watching you play part of it, I think, because I think that was the one where your starter Pokemon has like super cool animation move when it does its thing, and the soccer.
Yeah, it had like a almost like a final smash kind of type thing. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, that's what the animation looked like. But you haven't played them?
No.
I've not. I've only played Fire Red.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Leaf Green.
But they did a thing in it, right? Where it was like more open world-ish, right? I don't know if open world is good for D&D. Mostly because it's just like you're plopped here and like either A, the distances matter and you spend a whole lot of time traveling between different places and like playing time, not in-game time. I'm talking about like real, like you spend sessions and sessions walking through a forest to get to this other place, and then and you go in like a random order, and it's like not that good. Or the distance doesn't matter, and so the shape of the map doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Okay, this is up here and that's over there and here and here and there and there. But actually, you're just like you're here, and adjacent to it is this spot here, and adjacent to that is this spot here, and it's just whatever. I feel like that's kind of that, and that might explain why Sword and Shield would have been forgettable, because like everything is just like right next to everything else, all off this like central whatever. Doesn't you don't like go through anything, so to speak.
Okay, well, let's explore a game that is open world and not forgettable, that all of us have.
Are you going to talk about Breath of the Wild again?
Yes.
We can't do that on our podcast. Okay, we can. Fine. Go ahead. I like that game.
I like it too. But let's think about that though. Why do we like Breath of the Wild? Forrest, did you like Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some things about the game that stuck out to you?
I think an issue that you run into with a lot of open world games is, at least for me, I'm very objective focused, right? So I get a task and I have a book of tasks and I pick one and it gives me a little reticle on my map and I run towards the reticle on the map. And I think what was good about Breath of the Wild is, even if I tried really hard to go straight into an objective, I always ran into something that made me stop, right? I always ran into something that, whether it was, one of the seeds to collect or a random person that happened to be generating and running through the world, I think the open world was just very much alive and interactive in a way that older open world games almost had set pieces that you ran into, versus Breath of the Wild is alive, I think, if that makes sense.
Right. It feels lived in. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I know you didn't like Breath of the Wild, Austin, so I can no.
I was super curious.
Put that on me, Ricky.
I was super curious to hear if you actually didn't like it.
No, I liked it a lot.
Yeah. What was it? What are some things that stood out to you about it?
So not the world as much though. Like I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad no. Sorry, I got a little bit.
What did you just slip into?
Do you not know about this? I have a bad case of diarrhea. You don't know about the crazy Japanese English lessons? Oh my god.
No.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, you guys are about to come down with a bad case of diarrhea. It's going to be awesome.
I hope not. I do have a burrito I have to eat after this.
Yeah, you don't really have much say in it then. But no,
Okay.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild.
Right. About that. So
Uh-huh.
I had a hard time remembering where stuff was a lot.
Okay.
Um, I would just kind of like stumble around the world. I didn't look at my map very much for a lot of my playtime.
Sure.
And I just kind of like wandered around. Eventually, wandering through the world enough that way let me build up like a little bit of a map in my mind. But that would be that to me feels like it would be extremely difficult to do in Dungeons and Dragons, where like the only visuals that I can use to build that map are in my mind.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I depends on how hard your DM's going. You could have real visuals too. Like I know that your campaign that you've been running for us has a map,
Yeah.
which I can look at and see where stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like some visuals in it are still just in my mind.
Yeah.
So that makes it harder to keep track of where locations are, maybe sometimes things like that. um and that's why like the quote unquote dungeons that we've been doing are a lot easier to keep track of because they have a map, and I'm following that in my head. um so I guess that's one thing, you got to make maps in D&D, but I don't usually like to. Well, that's a me thing. I don't like to make maps because I get too much. I'm too much of a perfectionist about stuff like that. You know?
Well, I've learned a lot about especially with the dungeon that you guys are exploring right now.
Yeah.
You may have noticed that it's not there are only like two types of areas that are important and have stuff in them, and areas that are not important and don't have anything in them. So that was the result of me randomly generating a map
Mhm.
and then just using it as it was. So what I've learned now from doing it that way and playing it that way is that it's probably better. It's okay to randomly generate something, I think.
Mhm.
But what I would do differently next time, and what I probably will do differently next time, is I would randomly generate a map and then also hand draw it myself based on the generation. Because I think that will get my mind thinking about what's actually in here. What does it really look like? Then I can describe it a lot better.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of like fudged it a little bit with the pyramid that you're in right now, because I sort of tried to make it so that the fact that all the hallways and rooms looked really similar was part of.
Totally makes sense in a pyramid.
Right. Well, and also it was sort of part of it. It was like sort of like a misleading misdirection labyrinth type thing, where not knowing exactly where you are was sort of part of the challenge. But that was sort of an accidentally. I didn't mean for that to be the case when I made it originally. It sort of ended up that way based on, you guys going through somewhere, and I was like, okay, I have to describe this. I don't know what it's supposed to look like, so it's going to look like everything else. That kind of thing. But with Breath of the Wild, I think that was one of the things that stuck out to me was how different everywhere was. Like you could really tell where you were. You didn't need the map a lot of the time because you could really tell where you were just given what's around you, what you could see. The thing that always sticks out to me is when I picked it up for the first time. Actually, the first time I played it, you like handed me your Switch and was like, "Dude, you gotta check this out." And I played the first intro sequence.
Yeah.
When Link wakes up and walks out into the world for the first time. And I had literal tears in my eyes when it did that panoramic,
Dude,
shot of
that during that panorama,
uh-huh.
apparently, since an update or something,
Mm-hmm.
some people have had birds fly through it.
Oh,
Just randomly.
yeah.
Just the randomly generated birds will sometimes fly. I've never seen it happen. Somebody got it on video and they were like, dude, this was so cool. Because it wasn't their first time playing it. It was like their third or fourth at this point.
Right.
But you just walk out and every time it's like, oh, it's so cool.
It
And
is.
then this one time they were like, wait, what?
Birds.
It was different.
Yeah. Like I expected my same old familiar thing, but there's still surprises here.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Sorry to sidetrack you there. I don't know where you were headed with it.
No, that's not a sidetrack really, because I think that so I would say, just based on the experience that we all share, just talking about shared experience here, I think the best Breath of the Wild moment, interestingly enough, this is nice because we have Forrest here, was going to Marty's hometown. And that experience to me that's one of the most memorable locations that really sticks out in my mind. Something that I feel like I could visualize. I have an idea in my head of what it looks like, what the people are like, what's going on there. What do you think, Forrest?
Yeah. And I think that a big portion of that was so organic because we loosely prepped beforehand, right? This was kind of a starting of an idea. We had almost like this big picture, right? We had this big picture idea, and then we went into it, and you and I just played off of each other. Like we just played off of each other, and kind of did the yes and exercise throughout that whole thing, and it was awesome. It was a really great experience. I loved exploring my character's town as my character, but having to come from a perspective of like, yeah, I've known this was like this all along, right? Even though a lot of that stuff was my first time experiencing that. It was very rewarding and fun, and everybody had a really good time at it from start to finish. I agree, that was probably my favorite section as well.
Right. So I definitely, and I think that the best part about it is, for a while I thought that I had to make something that was fun for you guys, but really I think the most fun is when we make something fun together, right? So yeah, that's another big thing. But I'm interested, Austin, to know what your experience was exploring Marty's hometown, because Forrest and I mean, I was really fun for me. It seemed like it was really fun for you too, because it was sort of something that we were doing together. But did that stick out to you in any specific way?
It was all right, but it kind of smelled like fish.
It did smell like fish. Lots of fish.
Like a lot of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, but it was a little fishy. It just was a little too. It was a little too fishy.
We like fish.
Does Liam like fish?
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah, I think or at least I think he's fine with fish. He's more of a like. All right, so if you look at the foods that Liam would like for like contemporary real world foods, he'd be eating mostly burgers if he could.
Okay.
Pizza.
Well, those exist.
He's been known to take the like Kool-Aid powder and just dump it on his hand and eat that.
Cool.
Yeah, and then his hands are all stained. That's the thing. He really, he'd really super be into doing that kind of weird stuff. Just it's the extra calories to keep him going. His late night super. No, but for like actually exploring it, it is cool to see. It was nice to see like the connections, like sort of, because I knew that it wasn't really all figured out yet. But then you see the connections between the characters kind of pop up, and see yeah, like it digs into their backstory hooks and whatever, and it's good. It was pretty cool. Would I go back there? No, not probably not, because that's not where the other gems are, and that's like not Liam. Like Liam's gonna go get the other things and then break them all. I would assume. After that, he's I don't know where he wants to live. I got to think about that.
Oh, well, like where we'd want to retire to?
Yeah.
That's fair that you wouldn't want to retire to.
A small turtle village.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
turtle, my little turtle village full of turtles.
Yeah, he I think he prefers a more lively. Well, I mean, it's a lively place, but just a more populated place, a more heavily populated place. I don't know where though. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. The one of the fun parts about that to me was so there was the turtle, like Marty village side of things, but then something sort of separate from Marty that he didn't really have any part in, he just kind of kept his head down, did his work, was the tabaxi presence. Like how the tabaxi sort of have leverage over all of the turtle towns in this country here. When you, because we had talked about it before the session started, and we sort of went into it, but when it came to actually playing in that, what was the difference between like what you expected going into that and then what it actually felt like to play? What it was like to interact with those characters, for as Marty.
Specifically the tabaxi.
Yeah, the tabaxi. Yeah, the ones that are sort of like the military presence.
Yeah. Yeah, so almost occupying, right? These tabaxi are almost occupying this turtle village in a way that's very militaristic and discriminatory, right? And I think that Marty had grown up with that, so trying to come from a context of like as a person, if I were to have my hometown be controlled and occupied by this force of people that really didn't respect or care about my village or my family, I would be very upset about it. But if I lived my whole life in it,
Yeah.
right, I think that I tried to come at it from a perspective of Marty is like a happy-go-lucky, not very confrontational, bring the peace kind of guy. And also he grew up in that environment. It was normal.
Right.
So I really had to bring myself back to my experience as an old turtle man with a family that's grown up in this environment, and this environment is normal, and these things that they're saying and doing are normal. And a lot of times it turned into keep your head down and don't say anything to upset them. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's different than the player's perspective of like, okay, well, yeah, this is obviously not a super great situation. Because yeah, definitely, I think that the characters can have a very different opinion on that from the players.
Yeah.
And Marty might just be like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, sure, they did whatever, but like we're okay now, even if like we as players are like, that's not okay still. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, because life in the village for everyone isn't bad.
No.
By any means.
And I think that's important to clarify.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I mean, there are plenty of examples in reality of things like that happening. Countries occupying other countries, but not necessarily oppressing them terribly. And
And in this instance, it's a resource grab, right? They just want control of the resources in that area and control of the trade in that area. And we've kind of been almost bred to comply as a turtle race to a degree where we've just been raised in this environment, and they let us live our simple village life, as long as they get their just desserts, I guess.
Yeah, as long as you guys don't go getting any big ideas, you
Yeah.
can do your little thing.
So we get to live our simple lives, and that's about it.
Right, exactly.
Which I think it's interesting how that might come back to get Marty, since he's out, like, kind of, I don't know exactly what the goal is, but traveling the world doing stuff that involves important people, like this dead guy who we've been talking to lately. He seems important enough to, like, be alive but also dead, so that's pretty important. Most people don't get to do that. I'll tell you what, most of them just they die. If he dies, he dies. That's what I'm talking about. Just same as the Apollo Creed. Apollo Creed. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the mission to space that went wrong. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I know.
Guys, in the homework down below.
I've seen the movie.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, you saw that movie?
Yeah, and even though we know that all the crew members of that ship are going to be all right in the end, it's still tense.
So,
yeah.
Guys, it's Rocky 4. Go watch Rocky 4. Is it the best Rocky movie? Maybe.
You bet it is. No, I've actually never seen Rocky 4.
Have you seen any?
Yeah,
any Rocky movies?
I've seen Rocky, and I may have seen Rocky Balboa.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, I'm thinking of the other Sylvester Stallone property.
You've seen John Rambo?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes, okay, that's the one I've seen.
They need to bring back Rambo in D&D. We need more Rambos.
There was Rambo at one point?
No, I don't think so. But they need to bring it back.
Rambo-like characters?
I mean, that's already a barbarian. We'll skip that. Anyway.
That's me.
Yeah.
Marty is a barbarian.
I've never got to play a barbarian because I haven't really played very many characters. What's it like?
Playing a barbarian. Well,
Marty's
he's a different kind of barbarian.
He's a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
I
tried to be, Marty is this barbarian, but in the sense of the way that a parent would turn into a barbarian if their friends or their family or their children were threatened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he has this parental protective instinct that is really the trigger for his rage, versus he might take some hits, he might take people saying whatever they want to say about him, but
Mm-hmm.
when the people that he cares about starts to get hurt, that's the trigger for his rage and the violence that comes out. And so it's been really fun to play with that, like almost a pacifist, or at least not a combat oriented, that's not my first solution to problems, which I think is kind of unique. I guarantee I'm not the first person to be like, let's do a barbarian, but they're not angry. Like, I'm sure that I'm not the first person to do the opposite of what people tend to think of it as.
He's interesting too, because his barbarian power, his rage, is like an ancestral thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like already, like, there you are. That's the family link right there.
Yeah.
Right. And all of that, like, it literally is like a family instinct built into this family. So for whatever reason, I don't know his backstory. I don't know what it's all about yet. And you can't tell me on the show here. I gotta find out. I gotta find out the right way.
Sure, yeah.
But it is cool to see how it meshes so well with the mechanics, that, like, he has these parental instincts that he's operating off of.
Yeah. When I was building that character, it really came together. It wasn't even like one thing inspired the other. It was like I want to make a barbarian, but I want them to be this protective parental type character. And I thought the turtle was a really great unique fit for that. Usually you wouldn't see a turtle, I don't think, as a barbarian quite as often. And then I saw the ancestral guardian I guess I'm not like having a struggle to think of the right word, skill or
Yes,
feature.
it's a subclass. The Ancestral Guardian subclass. Yeah.
Yeah, the subclass on the Rage, and I read that and was like, wow, that's so fitting to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I can't pick anything else. Like my decision has been made. This is perfect. And that's really where a lot of the background of the village and the culture started to brew, was from that Ancestral Guardian. I was like, wow, this can go really deep. I was super excited about it.
Yep.
And I'm happy with how it's developed so far. There is a lot more depth to Marty's character and where I want him to go. And obviously that can change and has changed based on our experiences that we have. But I have a really cool direction I'd like to take him eventually, and you were starting to allude to that a little bit earlier. So,
yeah. One of my favorite things about the way that you play Marty too is I've expressed before that I really like limitations and handicaps and stuff like that.
Tell me about it, Matt.
Actually, you and Austin both do some stuff that I really like. I like that Austin, with his character, he'll just roll a dice like every time you long rest to see if he actually does or not, because his character is obsessive and will work on something
like that,
all night, and then he'll take a point of exhaustion.
It sucks.
Having exhaustion and
not getting my spell slots back and stuff.
Yeah.
It's rough. Although the spell slots make it easier to rest, so that's fine.
Right, but one thing that you do is with Marty, you don't rage with Marty unless Marty has a reason to rage, and I like that because every barbarian optimally will start combat with a bonus action rage.
Yeah,
because that
they just walk in and they're like, "I'm always angry again."
Right. Yeah, but you wait until Marty has a reason, which often will happen to be
somebody got hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. It still gets me there.
Right, exactly. But there are occasions where you've been high enough in initiative order, or nobody's gotten hurt yet or anything, where Marty's just Marty for a while, before he rages. It just happens to be that dexterity is his lowest score, so you tend to roll pretty low initiative, so somebody usually gets hurt before it's your turn anyway.
Yeah, and I've been trying to be very conscious about that and respectful of that while trying to develop Marty as he becomes more in tune, right, with this skill that he has, with this connection that he has with these Ancestral Guardians. So you'll notice that compared to when we just started out, he's gotten a little more confident and a little more consistent. And that's intentional.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been really fun playing with that.
Yeah. It was exciting for me as a DM, because it was tough. We started this campaign. I was really excited about it. I think we all were. And then the pandemic hit, and we had to, right away, we did 2 or 3 sessions before that. And we were, but I was really excited to see you get really excited to play after all of the stuff with your character. And the next leg of the journey is going to involve more characters. So I think things will start to pick back up in that department. I think people will start to get more excited.
And that's all that piece, right? I was one of the very first characters where we ended up back in my hometown, and we got to really flesh out and develop my backstory for everyone a little bit. And all that experience did was make me go, wow, I'm so excited to see what, Liam's part is going to look like, or what Summit part's, what everybody's part is going to look like. I'm excited to learn more about their character and their background and see them interact in a familiar space as a character. So that made me, even though we kind of got my part that's about me out of the way fast, it made me more excited to see everybody else because it was so fun.
Right. And I'm not like making it a secret or anything, but the characters, the character relations and the parts that are going to be the most about the characters are directly related to where they came from. So your character came from that place that you were in, and that's the place that had the most impact on your character. So the place that you're in now, none of the characters came from this place. So that's why, it doesn't really seem to have to do with anybody in particular. A lot of it is overarching story significance, but not so much specific character significance. So maybe you'll look out for that a little bit more too, just from me saying that. But I don't even know if you guys know where all of the other characters came from. Some people briefly mentioned it in some instances, but
yeah,
off the top of my head, I can't remember. I mean, I guess Dissel is pretty clear.
Well, yeah, right. But he actually started the campaign on the material plane. So Dissel comes from the Nine Hells, but he started on the material plane. I had a starting point for him as well. So there is a place on the map, conveniently, with a gem that's related to him too. Right. So one of the challenges was that Liam and Saren technically come from the same place, but there's only one gem in there. Don't worry about that. That's fine.
It's gonna be the double gem.
So you'll see what's going on there. Yeah.
What I'm hearing though from you right now is that the real best Pokemon to live in is the friends we made along the way.
Wow. You really, I wasn't sure if you were going to do it, but you really brought it full circle, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, because you know what I'm going to ask next.
I do.
Are you ready for it?
I am.
You got that homebrew?
I do.
You got that homebrew?
We've got to do one or two.
I'm ready for 1 or 2 homebrews.
Or 7.
7.
Hey, what about this? This is a magical item.
That sounds very fancy. Whoa. Whatever that is, I want to know.
This comes to us from user Ascended Bebop.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's like just going right up the Bebop scale, which I'm not going to do it right now, but I can. I promise you, I can. I don't know the Bebop scale. I'm sorry.
So have you ever?
I don't know which one's wanted. That. Anyway, go ahead.
Have you ever wanted a magic item?
Yeah.
That literally is useful to anybody who uses it just because of what it does?
No.
All right.
I've never wanted that.
You will hate this.
From me. Oh, I hate it already.
So it can be any weapon.
Okay.
It's a magical item that's any weapon. It's called Mentor's Hand. So the weapon holds the spirit of a master swordsman who is eager to pass on his techniques. So if you are not proficient in this weapon, you become proficient when you attune to it.
Nice.
Cool.
It's a +1 weapon, so +1 to bonus and damage, or to attack and damage. And it has 3 properties. One is that you gain proficiency if you don't already have it. That's called First Lesson. It has a property called Watch My Hands. If you roll a natural 1 on an attack, the mentor's hands come out and readjust everything, granting you advantage on your next attack. So basically, if you miss, then the sword is like, let me show you. And then gives you advantage on your next roll. That's a super cool mechanic, super cool flavor too, like the way that it's explained. And then the third one, Student and Master. When you roll a natural 20 on an attack with this weapon, a second spectral sword strikes in tandem with your own, causing an additional 1d8 slashing damage. Which, it doesn't say specifically on here, but if you ask me, is also doubled.
Yep.
Because what? Yeah, I mean, there you go. You rolled a natural 20.
Plus, I would count it as magical, not just plain slashing.
I think this would be a cool like enemy to encounter
I guess
too.
it's a magic weapon anyway, so yeah.
Like a kid who just picked a sword up and is like,
yeah, I'm liking where that's going.
Oh, like I can just do, you know,
I can see.
I can fight.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my god, yeah.
Throw it right back.
And then, like, what do you do to this kid? You're just trying to disarm them because you don't want to kill this kid,
right? It's just a kid,
and like, what? So what if the sword is like, it's not nice, it's not a good guy. The sword's bad, but the kid's neutral or good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the kid, you don't want to hurt this kid, and the kid doesn't want to hurt you. But they can and probably are going to because they don't have too much of a choice.
Right. Well, it's the archetype of, I think, like the kid who's been bullied all his life and suddenly has power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could go one of two ways. It could be the Captain America way, where they know what it's like and they have empathy.
Right.
So they stand for what's right and they use their power as righteously as they can. Or I can't think of an example of this archetype, but it exists. They get all that power and then they abuse it and they use it to get revenge on the on the people who did that to
Captain
them.
Revenge America.
Captain Revengeance.
Captain Revengeance. Yeah. Pretty much it is like Solid Snake. No, I don't know if that's who you play in Revengeance. Is Revengeance the one where you're the ninja dude with the sword?
I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know
anything
about the Metal Gear games. I know nothing. That's a cool. I'm going to take notes. We're going to maybe encounter this.
Yeah. And I really like...
I see what you're, the item. I thought you meant the Metal Gear games. I was like, we're going to we're playing those on the podcast now? I don't know if I understand. I'm not following here. But okay, I guess that's a good idea. We can do that next episode.
I was just briefly saying that I like it in that context of fighting against it, and a lot better than like handing it to someone in a party. I think there's a lot of depth to fighting against it versus it. I think my only concern about it is it's a really good magical item, right? You have to make sure that things remain balanced while getting that.
Yeah, I mean it's not too terribly strong.
I guess statistically 2 of those things will only happen every once in a while, huh?
Yeah, there's a 10% chance something cool happens.
Yeah.
5% that you roll a natural 1 and get advantage next time. And a 5% chance that you roll a natural 20 and do some extra damage.
But because of the advantage you get from the other one, it's a higher chance of either of them happening. Well, which I think is a higher chance of the other one happening.
Right. Well, and I think that's still, I think it all comes out in the wash because plenty of magical items give you extra damage and stuff like that.
It's not the strongest magical item. It does have a lot of cool. It has a lot of cool flavor to it.
Well, it's like it has almost like a feedback loop of ability to it. Like you said, because the advantage then makes it a higher chance that you'll roll that natural 20, and no, it's definitely
it builds
cool.
up steam as it goes. Like as you start swinging this thing, it gets better.
But the thing about
it's not like a first turn 100 damage type deal.
Right, exactly. It's not a glass cannon. It's a consistent tank of a thing. And one interesting thing about fighting somebody who has this is once it's all resolved, you now have it too.
Yep.
And it's like, well, do we use it? You know, because there could be that question, like maybe the kid, you know, got drunk with power or whatever, or maybe it actually is a corrupting weapon, and like that would happen to you too if you attune to it. Who knows? It's a cool one. You want a second one?
Yeah.
All right, I have a second one here too.
Yeah, load me up, baby.
It's more weapon. Well, I guess this is a wondrous item, but
ooh, a wondrous item. I actually don't know the I never really looked into the difference between those designations. Is a wondrous item like just it's one of a kind?
It does a cool thing. No, it's not one of a kind.
Oh,
It just does something that's not. Well, it's not even that it's not combat related. It's just it doesn't fit into another designation, so it's a wondrous item.
Okay.
Because there are like wands and staffs and cloaks and weapons and stuff like that. But then a wondrous item is kind of just like a thing that's not any of those.
It just does a magic for you.
Right. So this is a bottle.
And is it bees related?
No.
Okay.
Thank God.
It's a bottle. It's a bottle.
Is it genie in the bottle?
Like a flask bottle type thing. It's got a stopper. It looks like a potion. But if you use your bonus action to remove the stopper, all the liquid inside of it comes out and into the shape of a sword. It is a bottled blade.
I'll bottle anything.
Okay. Now I like that because
you can get it past security.
Yeah.
You can bust into a concert. Not really bust into a concert. You can get into a concert, take out your sword, and kill the musicians on stage. Everyone's dream. Right? Isn't that?
Yeah. Definitely my greatest dream.
Or I mean, you could get past other security who's like evil and corrupt or whatever, and like do your hero justice, good stuff. But you can use it for bad stuff too. I like that.
Mostly for stabbing all time low. That's for I guess.
Who hasn't dreamed about stabbing all time low? I'm just kidding. All time low. I don't put me on any watch lists.
Oh yeah, no, I actually really like them. This was the first band that popped in my head.
The blade lasts for 1 minute. It deals 2d8 damage on a hit, and it has the finesse and light properties. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So basically anybody can use it. You're not necessarily proficient with it, but you can use it. So once the minute is up, the sword goes away, and then you have to fill it with water and let it sit for 8 hours in order to be able to use it again.
Okay. Interesting.
And so the condition in which the bottle is left determines the blade's damage type. So you may have noticed that it just said 2d8 damage, but it didn't say what kind of damage. So if you put a vial of acid into the water, the potion turns green and it is acid damage. Ooh. If it's put into ice or snow, it's white and it does cold damage. If it's buried in ash, it turns red and does fire damage.
Yeah.
If it's covered in sand, it turns blue and does lightning damage. If you put a drop of blood in it, it turns black and does necrotic damage. If you put poison in it, it turns yellow and does poison damage. Why is yellow the poison color?
I would have thought purple.
Me too. That's purple. That's
pretty standard.
Purple is the poison color to me. Okay, anyway. Oh, this is why. Because if you keep it in total darkness, it turns purple and does psychic damage.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also
purple.
Yeah.
And if you use holy water instead of normal water, it turns gold and does radiant damage. That's cool.
There's no option for thunder damage?
How would you do thunder damage with a sword?
You just put it in somewhere loud. You just scream at it for 8 hours.
Sorry, guys. I can't take this long rest. I have to scream at this bottle for 8 hours.
Oh, my.
And then you pull out your liquid sword and they're like, all right, that's cool and all. And then you go...
Sonic booms. That's actually really cool.
Oh, man.
And they're like, all right, great. And you're like, yes.
That was so cool. That was the coolest thing I've ever done.
Did we just homebrew the homebrew?
We did just homebrew the homebrew.
That happens.
I believe we did.
That happens sometimes on this show.
Yeah.
All right, but what if the flask also has like some spirit of a master guy in it that helps you hit better?
It could happen.
Nah, that's too much.
No, it's too much. You're right.
The artwork on this is really cool though. I normally don't show Austin the artwork, but it's got like an eyeball in it.
Oh.
And like
Yeah.
The artwork really helps kind of sell the concept, I think.
Okay, so the
Yes.
vial is the hilt of the sword.
So I totally misunderstood.
I misunderstood as well.
Yeah, I thought what you were saying was it's like this little normal looking like potion bottle.
Yeah.
And then it goes like, whoop,
Yeah.
and a sword just flies
it's
out,
like-
and you just grab it, and you're like, hey, I got this.
Like Ocarina of Time, where he's like,
Yeah.
it's like, and the sword just comes out.
We're good. Are we good?
Are we?
Oh,
We're good.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
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 You never
Okay.
know with these things. This setup is so fragile.
Yeah.
The way that it is, right? Like it's so hard to say. It feels like we're, what is that called when you balance those rocks and stuff? When you make
Like
them
a house of
into
cards?
cairn of rocks. Yeah.
Did you say you can make a Karen of
Cairn.
rocks?
C-A-R-N. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a.
These
cairn of
rocks want to see your manager.
Everybody who I've met named Karen is pretty cool.
I can think of one Karen that I know off the top of my head, and yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Karen like at all.
I can only think of 3 right now, but they're all. I like.
Wow, you can think of 3 Karens? I only know one.
Yeah.
That I can think of off the top of my
better
head.
think harder, or I'm gonna be talking to your manager about it or something. I don't know. Whatever somebody would say there. Some threatening thing that somebody would say at your place of work.
I should put more Karens in your game.
Oh no.
Like NPCs.
Summit would just headbutt them immediately.
Yeah, so would Jen. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That Summit would.
How Jen is Summit, would you say?
Summit is pretty much a recreation of teenage Jennifer.
Oh man, yeah. I guess neither of us really knew teenage Jen.
Not too well. No.
From the stories that I've heard, this isn't her telling me that. This is what I've kind of.
Yeah, I just remembered that story that she told us of her and her friends sneaking into that one place by crawling underneath the fence that only had like a 4-inch gap underneath it, but somehow in concrete, and they somehow got underneath it. Yeah, that. Oh no. She was able to get underneath it somehow, and then there was like a motion sense gate that she waved at wildly to open it up for her friend. Yeah, that's something Summit would do for sure. Huh? I never thought about it like that.
Well, we were talking about this before the show, sort of. It surprises me what kind of person a lot of the people who I knew as a kid have grown up into.
Yeah. Like you think of somebody that you knew when you were a kid, and then you think about how they are now. And sometimes the dots are hard to connect. Like, how did that kid end up being this adult? Yeah, it kind of happens. With Jen, though, it's not really like that. I think.
No.
Because I knew Jen when she was a kid, and now that I know her as an adult, I'm like, yeah, makes sense.
She doesn't still break into places, just to be clear.
It's not really breaking in if they leave a hole.
Because I think she was technically allowed to be there. If I remember correctly.
Guys, Jen has never committed a crime. Let's just be totally clear. I'm just gonna say it. She has never committed a crime. 100% guaranteed.
I mean, everybody's committed a crime.
You heard it here. Fact.
No, I don't.
Have you ever driven 1 mile per hour over the speed limit? That's technically a crime.
I mean, I've only gotten 3 tickets for it.
I watched you get a ticket for speeding once.
Did you?
Do you remember that?
Which one was that?
At the academy.
Okay, yeah.
You were like,
I was there super early, and I was like, all right, there's nobody on the road. I'm like feeling good. I'm here super early. I'm gonna get a nice training session in before we start today. It's like an hour and a half before class starts. And I pull into the parking lot, and the police who was there just kind of like pulls his car up behind mine, and I'm parked, and I'm like ready to get out, and he's like puts on his lights, and I'm like, great, this will be fun. And like an hour later, there goes my training session. He's like, hey, can I see your license and registration, please? Because I think he realized that like I was already there and how there's no point in all of this stuff. So he just wasted as much of my time as he could.
Did you get a ticket for that? Oh, okay.
I don't think I actually got any other speeding tickets.
Okay.
I think that's the only actual ticket I've gotten. I was pulled over another time for going too slow in the passing lane. That was a fun one.
They actually pull people over for that?
Just me.
Was it like...
So I was trying to get into the right lane because there was a police officer and they were going fast and the lane was full and I needed to get over for an exit soon. So I was like, all right, I'll just try to get over now. Little did I know that if I was going at just the speed limit in the left lane and people were kind of going a little faster than me on the right lane, yeah, I would super get pulled over for that.
Oh, you were getting passed on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very sick that day, so it was
Woof.
just like I was in the car. I was
one
like,
thing after the other. Yeah.
I was like barely able to like keep myself from throwing up, and the police comes up. He was a super nice officer and everything, but I was like, this can't happen. I didn't say that exactly, but I was like,
right.
Listen, I just want to go home.
Please.
I'm just trying to get home.
I'm just trying to get home, man.
I don't care how I got to do it. That's what it was like.
My only ticket, well, I've gotten some parking tickets because like I've shown up and the meter was out for 2 minutes or whatever. And like, oh, they probably stood there and waited for it.
That technically I think is not a crime even.
No.
Right? Like it's just like you get fined because you agreed to it or whatever.
Right.
By parking here.
But I did get a ticket once. I did get an actual ticket once for I was driving. My grandparents had passed away. I was living at my grandparents' old house. I was driving my grandmother's old car that was in my mom's name now. And I got pulled over because the registration wasn't up to date.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have the ability to do anything with the registration because it wasn't in my name. I had nothing to do with it, right? And then I talked to my mom about it, and she said that she did do the registration. And I was like, no, because they wouldn't have pulled me over if you had. And then I tried to do it myself and came to the realization that the registration number for my grandmother's car and the registration number for my mother's car were only 1 digit different. And I came to the conclusion that my mother had registered her own car twice and had never registered my grandmother's car.
Oof.
So I just did it myself. And I also had to pay the fine. So there was that.
Great.
Because I was the one driving it. So I had to pay the fine. So that was fun.
That was fun. I remember that. We should do that again sometime. Me and you, let's get together and drive an unregistered car.
Let's just get pulled over.
Just like to feel the rush.
Just
driving an unregistered vehicle. Let's do it in broad daylight.
Anna got
really
pulled
crazy.
Over Anna got pulled over for not having a current inspection on her car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they saw that because she was missing on her front windshield. She didn't have the stickers.
Mm-hmm.
It was after her windshield was replaced. She had the stickers on the floor, on the broken piece of windshield that is left over that they give you the stickers on.
Uh-huh.
But until you go get them replaced, she was going to go get it replaced, and the officer was like driving up behind her, and then suddenly they were like, oh wait, what you got in there? You got any stickers up on your windshield there?
Were they up to date though?
Yeah.
Still, oh, that's so odd because from what I understand, all police nowadays, the cameras on their car automatically scan your license plate and like check everything automatically.
Yeah, it was before that.
Oh, okay.
It was 2017 maybe. Like it was a while back.
Well, I think that about does it.
Yep.
Any last comments?
It was so nice
That's
to be
right. I
here.
already caught it.
Thanks, everybody. That's a wrap.
Thanks for being here for us.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
No, I am leaving that in.
Okay.
Oh,
In
good.
case it wasn't clear.
And this too?